The European hydrogen market stands at a critical tipping point. One demands us to challenge conventional approaches, rethinking the normal way of doing things. This is quoted from Mr. Kim Hedegaard, CEO of Power2X, Topsoe, and a recognized leader in steering the hydrogen industry through uncertainty, innovation, and transformation. Today, we are very honored to speak with Mr. Hedegaard in person at Connecting Hydrogen Europe 2025. Thank you, Kim, for joining us and for sharing your invaluable insights at this pivotal time.
It's my pleasure.
To kickstart our interview, I really want to focus on your professional journey first. Your career has taken you from chemical engineering to chief operation officer and now leading Topsoe's Power2X business. How has this journey shaped your perspective on Topsoe's role in hydrogen and P2X space, and how do you envision the company's direction moving forward?
I think the way that my journey has shaped me and my perspective on hydrogen and on energy and also on hydrogen derivatives is the level of complexity we're facing here. We're trying to match an industry that consists of oil and gas companies, refineries, large petrochemicals, aviation, shipping, and at the same time we have to basically connect the power side of the dialogue with the molecule side of the dialogue. So I think at least, maybe not understanding, but having a perspective on that massive complexity and the challenge that we'll have to try to fix within the next decade. I think that has opened up some new perspectives, but I'm still impressed every day with the steps that the industry is taking, but also with the challenges that we're facing, both technically and regulatory, and also in the business cases.
If we use one word to describe the market right now, that perhaps be uncertain. Topsoe has made substantial investment in SOEC technology. However, the market right now is quite conservative. They're quite price sensitive. Has this influenced your strategic priorities? What matters to you most now?
So the short answer to that question is no. It hasn't changed our strategic priorities. Our founder, Dr. Topsoe, when he founded the company, he said there are three things that are important. First of all, it has to be based on science, what you do. Then it has to do good for society. It has to solve some of the major challenges that society face. If you can tick mark those first two boxes, then you will make a good business of it. And we have no doubt that the challenge that we face in the energy transition needs to be based on science. There are huge technical challenges, but also advancements in front of us. And no doubt it solves one of the challenges that we face as humanity. Because let's not forget, it is still a climate crisis, part of what we're trying to solve here. And we still see that there is good business. No doubt, of course, that we would like to see that market move a little bit faster than it is now, but the long-term gain is still the same.
Speaking of the market, there are a lot of discussions around demand. And nowadays, aviation and maritime are highlighted as the early use cases, especially with support from IATA, IMO, and national governments. How is Topsoe approaching these two demand sectors? And what role do you see them play in P2X commercialization?
So irrespective of whether you could say the off-take will start in aviation, whether it will start in shipping or with steel or in one of the other hard-to-abate sectors, I think the important thing is that the ones that move first, they will learn the fastest. So we try to have a very close dialogue with major players or with up-and-coming players in these different sectors, and also with legislators. There is still an early mover advantage, because we are still on the very, very steep part of the learning curve. That goes both for solution providers like Topsoe, it also goes for the end users, it also goes for the project developers, but definitely also for the legislators.
While electrolyzer production is ramping up, many suggest that the real bottlenecks lie either upstream, for example, in the competition for renewable power access and permitting, or downstream, such as synthesis, storage, offtake. So from your perspective, what are the main challenge, the top one challenge to scaling P2X, and how is Topsoe addressing them?
So I would say there are three challenges. When you look at challenges, it's always good to start yourself. And of course, our challenge is to reduce the cost. Some people talk about the cost as the green premium, but at least that right now, that premium that you have on a green solution, that's our responsibility to bring down the cost by expanding the supply chain and by further developing the technologies. I also believe that there is a huge responsibility with the legislators to enforce the legislation, but also support to get this sector off the ground. But for us, most importantly, the one thing that will make a huge difference, if when we as individuals and when we as companies make the right decisions, all of us know what the right decision is. How we're using oil and gas today is not sustainable. We need to transition into a greener and more sustainable solution space.
And last question to wrap up today's interview. A P2X success in Europe is strongly tied to supportive policy and project bankability. How are mechanisms like RFNBO, rules, EU Hydrogen Bank, RED3 influencing your project development? If there were one policy adjustment that you can recommend, what would you prioritize?
Now, it's always dangerous to give good advice, so I'll stick it to giving at least our perspective on what would make a huge difference. A carbon tax. A carbon tax will drive a difference, and a carbon tax will drive the industry, and it will make all of us make the right decisions.
Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing your insights, and we look forward to hearing more great news from Topsoe.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.